Hi, this is Erica Smith, and this is my PowerPoint presentation on changing educational paradigms in inquiry and multidisciplinary. How can inquiry change educational paradigms? First, students will see and develop a value and importance in education because they'll be given a platform to make more lasting connections and explore topics that are of interest to them. I also believe that because they are given this freedom and control through inquiry, they feel valued as a person. What they think and feel will be heard and accepted, which is empowering. We as people do more and work harder when we feel valued and appreciated, and like when we feel that we're being heard. And especially this day and age, I feel like children really want to speak their mind and not just sit idly. Students are given more control to guide and monitor their learning. This alone teaches them skills and abilities that the textbook can't teach them. It forces them to think independently and collaboratively. Either way, they're going to use those critical thinking skills more frequently. And inquiry-based learning is adjusting to the cultural and societal shift that has taken place for years. It is time for the education system to catch up and leave behind that factory model, as outlined in the video, the video changing educational paradigms. The video discussed a lot of topics about education and how education is viewed these days. It even gave that visual of kids with ADHD and what we're expecting from them, and understanding as educators that where they're at outside of school and the lifestyle they're coming from outside of school. The video talked about how they have all of these distractions with the video games and the internet and TV and their phones and tablets, and we have to make the classroom just as engaging for them. How can a multidisciplinary approach change educational paradigms? Multiple disciplinary teaches students to think laterally, as mentioned again in that same video, to become divergent thinkers, which I believe helps them to reach those multiple answers and solutions to the problems in inquiry-based learning. In Burrell's book, Chapter 7, he states, learning can become more meaningful and long-lasting if students are successful in relating and making connections to knowledge, skills, and attitudes among different subjects. And those connections are more likely to store learning and that long-lasting memory, where it's something that they can pull forward. And I can completely relate to that. There's things that I can remember much more when I can connect it to a part of my life, or if I'm actively working through it, as opposed to someone just talking to me. I can't retain information for that long. I have to work with it in order for it to be really cemented in me and for me to be able to access it after that day. So I actually really relate to this type of learning. Also in his book in Chapter 8, he discusses the importance of assessments versus testing and allowing students to have a voice in how they should be assessed, like having them reflect on their learning and also assess themselves, do progress monitoring and see where they're at, and providing various ways for them to be assessed. And so he gives examples of alternative, authentic, and performance assessments, and just having challenging and intellectual tasks through assessments, having them develop a music piece or a poem or painting or drawing or a skit or interview somebody or do a dance or a collage. Just not every kid can demonstrate their learning through multiple choice tests or short answer tests. Giving them different mediums to demonstrate their understanding and their way of thinking. Just like every kid learns differently, every kid tests differently. Every kid needs to be able to demonstrate their knowledge and understanding in a different way. And then that peer collaboration and the teacher collaboration as well. He talks about the different ways that teachers can collaborate with each other. So peer collaboration, not only are the kids able to work through it with somebody else, they're, that cliche saying, two minds are better than one. So they're able to work with other kids who think differently and look at situations differently than they do, and are able to help them reach answers that they may not have. And that's helping them become divergent thinkers. When you meet somebody in life as an adult and you're working with somebody who does things differently and they're successful at it, it teaches you a different way to do things that you may not have thought possible before. And then teacher collaboration is the same thing, working with teachers. In my school, we are departmentalized, so I teach writing and science, another teacher teaches reading and social studies, and another teacher teaches math. So with us, we could figure out a way to do inquiry-based learning to connect all of the subjects. Lastly, what would this look like with your students in your curriculum or school district? So for teacher collaboration, our school is really pushing PLCs and using that for assessment data. So looking at our assessment data, looking at student performance, and figuring out how to work with our students and help them improve. So I feel like currently our PLC is not really used for that very much, but if we were doing inquiry-based learning, we could use our PLC time to plan for that and, problem solve and figure out best ways to work together and have teamwork and reflect on things that have worked in the past or that are working now that haven't worked before, and so on. Peer collaboration, so their academic discourse and their language, that they're speaking using academic language, that they're speaking respectfully to each other, that they understand that it's okay to disagree and not have the same point of views, but just to remain respectful to each other and let everyone say what they need to say and let everybody have a part and not let somebody else do the work. So really working with each other through that inquiry assignment. But it increases student engagement, and if it's increasing their engagement, it'll make them more excited to learn and have that connection with learning and feel the importance of having an education, and honestly just seeing that education and learning is fun. And I think a lot of people forget that we teach children and they need to have fun. They are not adults. Adults, we don't need to have fun when we're learning. We know that it's a job and we have to get it done, but kids need that. They're children, they're little, and we have to make things fun for them so that they want to do it. And ultimately, if they have that engagement and their excitement, they're retaining things for a longer period of time, and that will help improve their academic performance. And my question I end with is, what subject do I want to start with? I have a lot of freedom, so which I'm very, very lucky to have, because I know that a lot of teachers don't have that. They have to be teach with fidelity to the curriculum, but because I teach writing and science, I don't have curriculum for either of those, so I could really have freedom in where I want to start. Writing, I could literally do inquiry-based assignment on anything, and science could just, I would have to use the standards to guide me, but I have a lot of freedom in that, and so I'm really grateful for that. So that is my take on multiple disciplinary approach and changing the educational paradigm.